I'm making this video to show one way that you can generate a building pad using Inroads and Site Modeler. The first thing I'm going to do is bring in an existing DTM surface for the area that the project will be located in. And once I brought that surface in, I'm going to go ahead and generate some existing contours so I can see them whenever I need to. Okay, so now that you've generated those contours, I'm just going to go ahead and turn them on. Next, if Site Modeler isn't active in your menu, you just want to go to Tools, Application Add-ins, and look for Site Modeler. So I'll go ahead and turn that on. And now that you've got that on your menu, you'll just go ahead and create a new Site Modeler project. Okay, so now you have the new project that you just added in. Next, you want to add a new surface, and the first surface you'll add will be the existing ground. You don't want to add it to the active site, you want to add it from the surface, the DTM surface that you added earlier. Okay, so once you've added that existing ground surface, you can see it generated another set of contours within that Site Modeler project. And to see the settings that it generated those at, you can just right click the existing ground, go to Edit and Display, and you can change the settings however you want. I'm going to set them to match the settings I generated the existing surface at earlier. Okay, so now everything should just overlap and look exactly the same, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off those existing contours that I generated earlier. Okay, so now that I've got those existing contours in the Site Modeler project, I'm going to add a building pad next. And you just want to make sure you draw that at a 0 elevation. And that it's a complex shape once you've got it drawn. And it is already a complex shape. Okay, so now that we've got the building pad drawn, you just want to go back to your Site Modeler tab and you'll add another surface. The next surface will be your building pad. So we'll just use building. You don't want to bring that from your surface. You do want to add it to your active site. Okay, so now you have another surface in there, and it turned off those existing contours because the existing ground is no longer the active surface. So now you'll just go to the Site Modeler tab, Element, New/Edit, and the building pad should be the active surface because it was the one you just turned on, and then you want to select it under Element ID. And you can select a style and a feature type. Then you can choose the method in which you want to merge the building pad with the existing surface. So there's 5 options. For this example, I'll do the constant elevation first. And so here you can just type in an elevation that you want the building pad to be at. And we'll do this at 865. Okay, so once you've edited that element, you want to add a new site to the site molder project. And we'll just call this the building pad. And another surface will pop up under your orphan surface. And so now you right click on building pad and go to edit, and you want to add by name that building pad surface, and then the base surface for that will be the existing ground surface. And you can check your display here before you generate that. Apply. Okay, so that's generated your contours, and you can see it's made a new surface. Turn off those existing contours. Okay, so that's your flat elevation, and you can see the cut and fill slopes. To edit the slopes, you can just right click on the building pad and go to edit and then slopes, and you can choose what percent the cut and the fill slopes are. We'll do 1 to 5 and 1 to 2. You can see it'll just regenerate. Once you've got that, the slopes how you like them, you can just grab the building pad perimeter and move it around wherever you want, and it will regenerate those contours. You can also rotate the building pad. Anytime you move it or rotate it, it will regenerate it, but if you just undo, it won't. So you can see the building pad went back to that original location, but the contours didn't regenerate. What you have to do is go to Site Molder, Site Tools, and Synchronize with Graphics. And it'll regenerate those to match. So that's just something to keep in mind if you ever have to undo or move it back to the original location. Okay, so now we've got the pad at the elevation we want, where we want it, and the side slopes to whatever specifications you want them at. Next, you can balance the pad by going to Site Model, Surface, and Raise/Lower by volume. And you want to select building 1 for your surface relative from the existing ground, and then you can decide how much cut you want to how much fill. So it'll just be 50-50. It'll split it in half and apply, and it'll run the calculations. Okay, and here it'll show you how much cut and how much fill there is in the total cubic yards. It balanced it out exactly for this example. It won't always be exact, but it's usually pretty close. And then you can still move it around. Just hit apply again, it'll run some volumes. And it bounced it out exactly again. Okay, so now that we've got the building pad where we want it and all balanced out, we'll create a new surface of just the building pad contours and a surface of the building pad merged with the existing contours. So you can go to Site Modeler, Site Tools, and Create Surface. We'll create that new site first. This will be the building pad with existing contours. And then we'll go ahead and create just the building pad contours as well. Okay, so now if you just go to your surfaces, you can see both of those have been added. And we'll go back to the Site Modeler and right click on your Site Modeler project, and you can turn the display off. Okay, so we'll set active the building pad with existing contours and then generate those. I'm just going to change the levels on all those so we can see them separately and turn them off and on. Alright, so we've got those contours generated now, and that's the building pad contours merged with the existing contours. Turn that off and then just set your building pad contours active. We'll change the levels on that also so we can see them separately. And so there's the contours for just the building pad. So you can turn on the existing contours that you generated earlier and it'll show you those with the building pad, or you can turn those off and you've got the entire surface. Okay, now that we have both of those surfaces, we can check the volumes. We did run the volumes earlier and it's balanced out, but this is just a way to double check that that was right. You can go to Evaluation, Volumes, and Triangle Volume, and your original surface will be your existing surface that you originally brought in. The design surface, we'll just do it with the building pad for now, and apply. Okay, and that was the amounts, the cubic yard amount that was given earlier when we balanced out the building pad. You could run the report either way. It should be exactly the same because other than the pad area, the rest would just be overlap. Okay, so it ran that volume report with the entire site to the entire existing surface, and it ended up being exactly the same. So you wouldn't have to do both of those, but I just wanted to show that it would be the same. Okay, so that's just one way that you can generate a building pad using inroads. We use the constant elevation method here. There's a couple different ways you could use vertices. You could tell what elevation you want at each of these corners, or however many vertices there are on your building pad. I'm going to try and make a few more videos showing the different methods you can use to generate the building pad, and how you could make a building pad and then create a parking lot off of the building pad at a certain slope. But But this is a pretty good introduction, I think, in how to use Site Modeler and how to add the surfaces and different sites to it. That's the most important thing, is figuring out how to do that. So hopefully this helps.